Hello everyone, Alien Volt here, and I am playing Sniper Elite 4. Now, I really like Sniper Elite 3. It was a really good game. The series is known for X-ray kill cams. So, you shoot someone and you get this X-ray image of their body parts exploding, which is really, really cool. And a lot of people really like it. Now, it's kind of gory. If you've got kids and you don't want them to see that, there is a way to turn it off so you don't have to see it. But it's pretty much the signature of this series. It's what sets it apart from all the other sniper games out there. Okay, that being said, you're not going to really find a whole lot different in this version from the last game. There are some noticeable differences, like the size of the maps are much larger in this game, and you have a much more open world feel to each level. Now, it's not really open world like you're going to find in, say, World of Warcraft or even Arma, where you've got this entire continent that you can run on and go anywhere you want. It's not. It's limited to the size of the maps. But they are pretty large for the most part. And look at that kill cam. That's the other thing that's kind of new. Now you've got kill cams for melee kills and explosive kills. So if you set up booby traps, you can actually get the kill cams for that as well. Now personally, I think this game is a lot of fun. But it's going to be different for everyone depending on how they play. Now, you can go through this game and go completely stealth. So every kill you do, if you kill them, is going to be a stealth kill. Or you can open up and go live. But if you go live, it's going to become pretty challenging to beat, because the AI are decently intelligent. I mean, they will come after you if you're spotted, or if you shoot more than a couple times from one location, they're going to pinpoint your location and come after you. Now, in the previous games, they had like a spotlight that would come down and shine in the area that you were at, and you had to basically hide and get away from the enemies. In this game, there's really no spotlights like that, but what there is there's an alert, and so everyone in a general area will start patrolling and looking for you. So if you do any movements, even if you're in a bush, they can spot you. So it makes it a little bit more challenging. But the other thing that I've noticed too is that because the map is so large and you're giving so many options of how you want to get from one point to the next, it almost makes the game easier. And it's not the sense that the game is easier, because I don't think it is. I think they've actually improved the gameplay. But before, the game was very linear, so you didn't really have too many options about how you could go. Occasionally you'd get like, okay, I could take this path on the left, the path in the middle, or the path on the right, but either way I need to take one of these paths. Now it's all wide open, so you don't really have to fight the enemies as much, I guess. You don't really have to take as many enemies out if you don't want to. Me, the way I play, I take everyone out on the map. I mean, I kill everybody, but that's because I'm looking for all the collectibles, and I just like not having someone sneak up behind me and ruin my day by spotting me. So I usually try to stealth kill everybody for the most part. Occasionally, if I get impatient and I don't want to wait for a sound, or I can't find something up like a generator to set up to mask my gunfire, then I'll go ahead and I'll take the shot out in the open. But then I won't take any other shots from that position. I'll move. So the game is a lot of fun to me. I really enjoy it. I like the story. You're going to be playing as the same guy, so if you're familiar with the series, it just continues on with that. Visually, the game looks really good. I mean, it definitely looks like a current title on this generation, although it does look very similar to last generation Sniper Elite 3. there isn't too many improvements, but they do support DirectX 12 this time around. They're using their own engine as well, so I don't think they've really done a complete overhaul, and they're definitely not using a new engine. They're just using an upgraded engine from their previous one, which is what a lot of game developers actually end up doing, especially the Call of Duty series. They just continue on their same path, upgrading their engine slightly each time, and then moving on with the new technology. Now, the only area this graphics engine actually bothered me in was basically when you're looking at the distance. The buildings and stuff look very bland, and the mountains, the ridges and stuff like that look too sharp. They're not blended enough. So there's definitely no distance AA involved in the engine for the rendering. So you just, when you look farther away, you basically don't really get the same smooth, lifelike images that you get close up. Now, frame rate wise, the game ran really smooth. I really didn't find any hiccups, no stuttering, no lag really. The game was very responsive. My frame rates usually hovered around, I would say 90 to 100, with highs about 140, and lows somewhere around 70. Now I am using a NVIDIA GTX 1080, and I'm playing on an ultra wide 35-inch monitor at 2K. So my settings are a little bit higher, so if you're using a standard monitor, you're probably going to have better results. Now, another thing that's new about this game is that you can actually climb up on a lot of different ledges to avoid NPCs or to get to sniper nests, so that way you can take people out. And you can shimmy across ledges doing so. I mean, there's a lot more functionality with the game that makes it feel more real, I guess. So it helps with the immersion when you're playing the game. Now, when you're playing this, you're going to get the mission objectives, which are pretty straightforward, as well as some side objectives. Now, there's not an abundance of these. It would be nice if there were more things to do, but between the collectibles, the side missions, and the main primary mission, there's enough on the level that you could find everything and do everything if you clear the entire level, if you play like me. If you try to avoid a lot of things and sneak through, you're probably not going to be able to get everything. You're definitely not going to be able to get the collectibles, and the side objectives will become pretty challenging to get as well. Which is probably why I take the easy way out and just eliminate everyone. Now, I did notice some bugs, like some of the bodies were difficult and you couldn't loot them depending on their position. I also noticed that sometimes I couldn't loot a body at all because my ammo was full, which presented a problem because some NPCs carry items that you need for, like letters or information, and I threw a lot of NPCs over cliffs because I couldn't loot them. I was just hiding the body. I was getting rid of it so no one would come across it. And when I got done with the game, and I mean I went pretty much everywhere I could go, I still couldn't find all the collectibles. It was pretty tough. So it's definitely going to take repeated level playthroughs to find everything. Now, this is a sniping game, so how's the sniping? The sniping is very similar to the previous games. You basically scope in, then you can hit a button, whatever you program that to basically automatically adjust the windage and elevation for you, so you know if you're going to get a kill shot. The target will turn from yellow or from gray to yellow to red, and when it's red, you know it's going to hit. Now, the other thing you can do too is in advanced modes, when you start going to the higher difficulties, you can actually adjust the windage and elevation manually. So if you're really into that type of a gameplay, you can do that here. If you're not and you just want something more simplistic, you can hit basically the auto adjust, and it'll do that for you. Or you can manually just try to adjust by looking at your scope markings and do that as well. Now, sometimes I try to use both methods, but if you'll watch my videos on the third Sniper Elite, using my scope alone, sometimes the shots would line up and they'd be there. Other times it's like the guy's, 50 feet in front of me and my sight is dead on and it misses. It's like, what? Or it doesn't kill him right away. It's like, how does that work? I'm shooting a high caliber rifle. I hit you in the chest from 50 feet away. You're dying. As opposed to like hitting someone in the stomach, 500 yards away, and it kills them because I sniped in. So I had some issues with that in the third game, and I didn't really like it too much. So in the fourth game, I've been kind of been cheating and using the auto elevation and windage. So that works. I mean, it's a good system. It's an easy system, and the game's still a lot of fun no matter what you do. As long as you're using the kill cams, it's pretty cool. Now, one thing with the kill cams this time around, since they've kind of introduced the explosive kill cam and the melee kill cam, one of the things that I've noticed is that not all the kill cams are the same now. Before, it was really cool when it'd show the bullet trajectory going to the target. So you'd follow the bullet and then it would hit and you'd see where it hit, and the bones would shatter or the skull would shatter, and you'd see the impact, which was really cool. Now a lot of times I've noticed that it just skips to the impact immediately. Like there's no bullet travel, which I don't think I like quite as much. I also notice that sometimes it's kind of black and white, and other times it's color, and I don't know if that's a bug or if it's intended. But I prefer it to be in color, not the whole black and white thing. So that's definitely there. I mean, there's a variety there, and like I said, I don't know if that's intentional. It most likely is. I just don't know that I'm fond of it. Now, as far as the gunplay goes and the stealth mechanics, they're average. They're nothing great. I'm not really a huge fan of the whole shooting in third-person perspective. It's not bad, if the game was like that only for, say, shooting from the hip when you're not sighted in. But when you sight in on any weapon, even like a pistol or something like that, I prefer to actually see the sights. I want to see the iron sights. I just don't want to see a dot in the center of my screen. Now, another thing that I really didn't like as much either was the cover fire. When you're behind a box or a rock or a fence or something like that, and you're trying to sight in and shoot someone, say like on the left hand side versus the right hand side, you actually come out of cover. So it doesn't automatically switch, stances or positions for you. You have to manually do that by hitting a button. And even then, it doesn't really switch your shoulder of fire. So it's not a complete conversion, it's just a slight move over. Now, one thing I really loved about this game was that you could mark everything. I mean, from explosives to, equipment that you could sabotage, trucks, objectives, people, and it stays. It doesn't go away. Like, you're not limited to marking like 10 things or 20 things. You can mark everything you can see as far as you can see, and all those markings stay throughout the entire level. If you die and you respawn, all your markings are still there. It's awesome. I mean, it's really good. If you load a level, you load back into a level to look for something that you missed, all your markings are still there. It's all saved. I mean, I think that's very impressive. A lot of games don't do that. I mean, even when you're playing Battlefield and you mark targets, after a few minutes, the target is no longer marked. In this game, all of your markings, they stay, they remain, and I think that's pretty impressive. I like that. Now, Sniper Elite 4 is planned to have DLC both for single player, co-op, and multiplayer game modes, including weapons. Now, the thing that I dislike about that is that, for one, no one really wants to keep a single-player game installed for a year waiting for DLC to arrive when developers decide to actually release it. The other thing is that there are a lot of weapons that are locked behind this DLC pay fee. So if you don't buy the DLC, you don't get the weapons. And even if you have the DLC, the weapons weren't released right away. So it was like, what the hell? I paid for the weapons and now I can't even use them? I mean, when am I supposed to use them? When I come back and try to beat the game for the 4th time when you finally release them? I really don't like that. I also don't like that the DLC, the added bonus content, is going to take a while to deliver, and you don't really know how long that is. I'm not a big fan of game DLCs. I'd rather they charge one specific price and release the entire game and don't shortchange it. Don't give me the short version of the game. I want the entire game at launch. You'll notice throughout my gameplay here that my rifles don't even have the camouflage skins, which I actually should have had because I pre-ordered the game, but they didn't add it in until day 2 when they did a patch. So is that an issue? I mean, I guess every new release is going to have some bugs and issues on the first week of release, and they addressed it right away, but it was still disappointing. But not nearly as disappointing as having those weapons locked, because no one wants to pay extra money for weapons, especially when the weapons are actually beneficial. I mean, there's one of the pistols that actually has a silencer on it. A lot of the other pistols that you get don't have silencers, so I mean, that's an issue. And the weapon customization in this game isn't really that great. You don't really have the options that you would find in other games, even like Homefront: The Revolution's a newer title that has a lot of customization options to your weapons, and this game just doesn't have any. And that's disappointing. There should be something other than just weapon skins. You would think with the new series they would try to do something more innovative like that and do some weapon customizations that really made the game feel unique, that set it apart from its predecessors. And they really didn't do that. Now they do have skill trees that you can unlock as you rank up and progress in the game, but that really isn't the same thing as being able to unlock and customize different parts and features of every weapon, making the weapons your own, and that's what you really want in a shooter. The skill trees are nice, but it's just not quite the same thing. Overall, I feel that Sniper Elite 4 is a pretty solid entry into the series. You're not going to find anything new and innovative outside of the larger maps, which you may like or you may not like. It depends on your approach to the game. If you're into stealth games and you're into taking your time, you're probably going to really like this because it gives you more options and it makes it easier to avoid people. But if you're not really into the whole stealth aspect as much, or maybe you don't feel that it's challenging enough because it is so open, you may actually feel the game is easier. Alright, I'm going to wrap this video up here. It's starting to get long. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like and the subscribe button. It really helps out a lot. And I'll see you next time.